Welcome to Ready, Set, Collaborate with Wanda Pearson. This is where ideas spark, connections grow, and collaborations fuse success. Tune in for inspiring stories, expert insights, and game-changing conversations. Let's build, connect, and thrive together. Remember, collaboration is the key to success.
Welcome to the Ready, Set, Collaborate podcast with Wanda Pearson, where collaboration is the key to success. That's always been my thing. Collaboration is the key to success. I'm your host, Wanda Pearson, and today I'm thrilled to welcome my special guest, Denise Renee. Denise Renee is a journalist, author, media professional, speaker. I'm putting all those in there for you, Denise Renee. She's passionate
Definitely.
about, you're taking, right? She's passionate about creating impact through media, which is what she do. You do YouTube, right? Do
Yes,
YouTube.
ma'am.
Yes, yeah, through media. In this episode, we're diving into her journey, the lessons she's learned along the way, and how collaboration has been a powerful force in her career and life. Get ready for an inspiring and authentic conversation that will empower you to take bold steps forwards. So, welcome, Denise Renee. And we say Denise, not just Denise, because I made a mistake and said Denise. It's Denise Renee,
It
right?
is Denise
So,
Renee. It's a double first name. You got it right. Thank you so much.
yeah. So, why do you, when people say Denise, what do you say? Oh, no. Do you correct them? No, it's Denise Renee.
It depends on who they are. It depends on how long they've known me because I really haven't been insistent about Denise Renee until like maybe the last 10 years or so. So if you know me from New York, I leave you alone. But if you know me from Georgia over the last 10 years or so, I do get a little insistent and I'll introduce myself as Denise Renee and I'll give people about 3 times. And then about the third time, I'm like, actually,
Yeah, you correct them. Actually, my name is Denise Renee. So, well, I'm so glad you're here with me again because I had Denise Renee on my podcast before when
yes,
we were
you
talking
did.
about
Thank you so
books.
much.
Yeah, it was when I first started doing my podcast. So, welcome back, and it will be 2 years, Denise Renee, in
I
November.
know. I can't believe it. I'm like, where did that
And
time go?
I know. And what was funny was that one of our counterparts, she said, "We'll introduce you to Denise Renee." I'm like, her name sounds familiar
Right.
to me.
Amelia. She should be on your podcast. And I was like, yeah, hey, Wanda, how you doing today? I was like, wait, I didn't look at the last name. I'm like, child, I know Wanda, Miss Wanda
That's
Pearson. Absolutely.
That's right. We've already talked to each other. But thank you for coming on for the second time because you got a new
Thank you for
book out
having me.
too. And
I do.
we're gonna talk about that. So let me read your bio here. Oh, okay. So known as the business book bestie, Denise Renee is a book writing coach, manuscript editor, and author. Her extensive writing experiences date back to 1999. Mom to a teenage boy, Denise Renee hobbies include doing her own salon quality nail extensions. Ooh, look at that girl. I need to have you come do mine. And I pay a lot of money for mine. You know. Adult coloring and making YouTube videos for both business and fun. And that's nice, short, and sweet, but very powerful. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast again, Denise Renee. I truly appreciate it. So let's dive into some of these questions that I have here. The first one is why is collaboration is key to success in 2025 and beyond for content creators, business owners, and employees?
Child, have you seen the news? Have you heard the headlines?
Yeah.
I wrote an article on LinkedIn last week and I forgot the exact title, but it basically said something to the effect, why you can't, oh Lord Jesus. Okay, no, I'm going to look it up because I don't want to screw it up. But it's literally about how if you listen to the headlines, your head is going to spin and it might just spin all the way off. and,
Yeah.
and you don't want to do that. But the headline here, and I'm trying to get to it quickly. Da, da, da. Okay, you just don't want to cooperate. Okay, I understand. It doesn't want to cooperate. Newsletters, here we go. Okay, so the title of the article is labeled, laid off, and left behind. Why headlines don't determine what's next for your career. So I literally said in the article that if I listen to the headlines as a human, AI is threatening my livelihood. As a Gen X person, I'm not included in the workforce conversation. They talk about millennials, Gen Z, even Gen Alpha, my son. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, and they talk about boomers, but I'm like, hello, next, we've been here for at
Yeah.
least 50 something years. If I listen, of course, now the newest headline is that 300,000 plus Black women were ejected from the workforce since January of 2025. So when you
Mm,
listen to things like that, it sounds like the world is just going to hell in a handbasket in
mhm,
flames. There are no jobs. There's no place for you here as a Black woman. There's no place for you here as an aging individual in the workforce or in business. And if you listen to that, you will curl up into a ball and just be depressed all day long.
yeah,
But collaboration becomes so key and important. And in the video that I wrote, that I crafted around that, was one of the key strategies is to collaborate, is to dig into your network, is to share
mhm,
what's going on in your personal life, in your business life, in your career life, whatever it is, whatever you're doing. Because at the end of the day, even though there's algorithms and things like that, but at the end of the day, you're trying to reach out to the person on the other side of your phone, right? When you're putting out content and you're trying to present your business or you're trying to get your resume out to a recruiter on LinkedIn, you're
mhm.
trying to connect with another human. And the best place to start is with the humans that you're already in community with. So
Right.
sometimes it can be tough because we don't always have the closest relationships with this person, but not with that one. Or
Mhm,
with the people that you do have a great relationship with in your family, on your job, past jobs, past clients. Dig into that. Tell people what you're up to now and what you're looking for. Will
mhm,
everybody be able to help or offer something? No, but at least they know. And when something comes across their path, they think of you and, oh, you know what? She's looking
mhm,
for a job. Oh, you know what? He's looking for these types of clients.
mhm,
That is how you get to grow. And then you let things like your social media presence amplify everything. But
mhm.
without community, it's hard to get anything done. It really is.
Absolutely. And that's what we talk about collaboration to actually somebody to bring in. And that is so true. It's who you know, not what you know. And it's really getting into that. I totally get it. So let's talk about how you, about your, a little bit about your background and what inspired you on your career path.
When I was a little girl, the only thing I thought of or saw myself doing was writing, which is really funny because my mom had the hardest time getting me to read when I was really young. But once I caught on, that was it was over. So I've always been just a big reader. And then I started writing my own short stories when I was like 8, 9 years old, things like that. And throughout high school, just writing, one of my degrees is in English. I did a master's in teaching and taught English at the high school level for a few years. So it's just been an evolution. Writing has just been with me for so long. And I'm always taking some other kind of writing class, learning copywriting, learning mastering storytelling. I'm still always learning. Lately, I've been digging into books about storytelling and business and like putting those two frameworks together. So it's just like, how could I not?
Yeah, yeah.
How could I
And
not?
that's so true. So writing the book, how can writing the book bring visibility to your career, business, or side hustle in 2025 and beyond?
Sometimes people are like, oh, it's all about video, it's all about AI content, it's all about this. But you know what? The basics, the principles never change. And
Mhm,
what's really special about a book is that you get to bring a very solid and cohesive idea into the marketplace, as opposed to where with content, we're just trying to put these like 1 minute videos out every day, or there may be long form podcast conversations like this. But
mhm,
there's something very special about having someone's full attention off of the social platforms. They're
mhm,
not doing this
mhm, mhm,
when they're listening to your book on as an audiobook. It's an immersive experience, or if they're actually physically reading your book, it's an immersive experience. They get to hear your thoughts from beginning to end,
mhm,
and you make a real impact. People still talk about how this particular book has changed their lives.
Yeah.
Nothing else in history has changed people's lives like a book. And even if you say, oh, this podcast episode with such and such a person really changed my life, it's probably because it was a podcast episode with somebody who what? Has a book. And they
Yeah.
were talking about the principles in what? In their book.
That's true. So tell me this. So what holds people back, most people back from writing a book of something that they dreamed of doing?
Number one reason is fear. And this is something that I know intimately.
Yes.
So, as long I just sat here and told you I've been writing since I was a little girl. I have an entire degree in it. I used to teach, right? Guess who just now is publishing her first book?
Yeah.
Why? Because for me, it was for a lot of times people are nervous about their writing skills. So, for me, obviously, writing skill is not my issue, but writing is still very emotional. Even if you're writing nonfiction and you're just writing a self-help book, it's a lot to put yourself in the proverbial out there, right? People
Mhm.
are gonna love you, people are gonna hate you, people are gonna feel meh about you. And when we're putting ourselves out there, when we're putting our ideas out there, we want everybody to love us, right? We want
Mhm.
everybody to buy. But even though rationally we know that's not gonna happen, it's still scary. Right.
Yeah.
And there are quite a number of steps to take to get a book done. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's still, and it's like at every step, you have to keep reminding yourself and convincing yourself this is why I'm doing it. And for me,
Mhm.
I just had to get to the point where, okay, I can't worry about all the people who are not going to like it or who, whatever it is. I
Mhm.
have to really be thinking about the people that I'm intended to help. And that is the thing that got me personally over myself because I was like,
Mhm.
wow, all these people are always talking to me about, I want to write a book. I want to write a book, but I don't feel like I'm a writer. I want to write a book, but I'm too busy. I want to write a book, but I feel like I'm too old or too young or I'm not enough of an expert. And I had actually wrote this book back in 2019. I wrote the first draft back in 2019. I did a round of revisions in 2020, and then I just never published it. And when I finally sat down and was like, oh my gosh, all of these people that, in this time, in these last couple of years, if I had my book, they could have been helped, right? Whether or not they became a client of mine or not doesn't even matter. There are people that I could have been helping with my book, and I wasn't where I should have been. My book wasn't where it should have been. And so now it's time to correct that. That's what got me moving. And my
Mhm.
book is actually titled Write Your Book. And the subtitle is 10 Mindset Hacks to Move You from Fear to Finish. And like I said, this is the number one thing that I started my business as a ghostwriter, but I shifted it into writing coaching. But it's the number one thing that I hear from people is I want to write a book, but and usually whatever they fill in the blanket with,
Mhm.
it's there's fear behind that.
And
Yeah.
you're right about that because that was with me. I'm never writing a book. I'm never writing a book. But I got this call from one of my friends said, Wanda, God told me to call you. I'm not going to disobey God. So what did he say? And that was my first collaboration book. And the thing about it is the fear of what people are going to think about you. And I had to deep inside of the book that I wrote, God's Grace Through the Fire from Struggle to Triumph. But at the
Hmm.
same time, I was told by my editor then, you got to get this book out, just like what you're doing. You got to get this book out, Wanda, because you can help people. And ever since I wrote it, people said the same. I want to write a book. How do I write a book? What do I need to do? So it's just taking that first step. And I love your shirt that says Rise and Write. That is so true. So true. So how can people who don't feel like writers get started simply and finish writing their books?
I think that one of the things that holds people back is not being a writer. There's a very common concern, and they're like, I don't even know where to start, how to get started. So I recommend borrow somebody else's writing process. So I have a four-step process that I take people through all the time. Okay, if you think about these certain things, answer these certain questions for yourself, and follow these particular steps, here's your first draft,
Mhm.
like you're on your way to completing your first draft. So
Mhm.
I say borrow somebody else's writing process. If you don't know whose process to borrow, I
Mhm.
invite you to borrow mine.
Yeah.
Go to writingwithdeniserenee.com/4 four steps. I have a free version and then a
Mhm.
low cost version where you can really dive in and start
Mhm.
thinking about what to do to get yourself moving on
Mhm.
writing your book.
I really thought your book was out, Denise Renee. I did not know you was not out. We were talking last year, and I thought you did, but I know you're a coach and helping people to write their book. So that and you're a ghostwriter, so you know all the ins and outs of what you need to do. So
Mhm.
congratulations on
Thank
getting
you.
your
Thank you
first
so
book
much.
out and helping people because people do need help. A lot of people need to tell a story. You just don't know who needs to hear that story, who needs to hear what you have to write. So that
Mhm.
makes a big difference. So what was the pivotal moment that helped shape you who you are today?
Lord, I'm a Sally guy. I think the modern evolution of where I am today has just been having a child really shapes you. It's definitely something that shapes you, and you start thinking differently. You start making decisions differently, and yeah, I would say that, and make
Mhm.
a lot of decisions based on how I want to be an example for my son.
And he's a teenage son.
Ciao.
I got six grandchildren, so I know from 5 to 20. So I know my grandson just called me today. He's 20 to tell me what's going on. The good thing about it is the communication that you have with them, and that really makes a big difference. I have two daughters, two married daughters, and I always taught them be a leader, not a follower. So I'm teaching the same thing with our grandchildren. Don't be a follower, be a leader. So that makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
But I can imagine you with a boy, it must be challenging. So I got two grandsons. I know it's
It's special.
challenging.
I'll just say it's special.
I know that's right. So how did you first realize the power of storytelling, media, in your craft and impacting others?
As a kid, the thing that I wanted to do, I didn't know it at that age, but as I got a little older and I understood what it was, I was like, I want to do this. For and my mother corroborates this. But as a kid growing up in the 70s, like your only form of entertainment really was TV.
Yeah.
And for some reason, even as a baby, before I could talk, I was always captivated with commercials. The TV
Mhm.
show could be playing whatever I'm playing, whatever, but the commercials will come on and I'm it just
Yeah.
had my attention. I could still recite like a whole lot of commercials from back in the day. I can't do it
Mhm.
so much now because I don't watch. I cut the cable like 10, 15 years ago. I don't watch commercials and TV in that way anymore. But I was really attracted to just the power of just short little, because a commercial really is back in the day. A commercial really was just like a short little story that got your attention. It was either telling you something funny, something relatable, something sad. It really got to the core of your emotions very quickly. And then it made this powerful association with Charmin tissue or Life cereal. Like, he likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Give it to Mikey. He'll like it. Let him try it.
Exactly. So these things are just like really memorable. And I just, when I was younger and I finally understood what advertising was, like, I want to be an advertiser. That's what I want. I didn't wind up going that route, but I did later on wind up learning copywriting, which is basically adjacent to the advertising world. Yeah, that's something that has shaped me from very early on.
That's awesome. And you're right. When you look at commercials, you see what's going on around you. I remember my first social worker, and I saw what the social worker did. And after here, I was like maybe 8, 9 years old. That's I want to be a social worker. Not knowing, I just wanted to help people. And actually that's what I ended up doing. That's what God helped me end up doing, even though being in
Yeah.
corporate for 36 years. But it's something that we look at when we're younger to say, I want to be just like them. I want to be in the fantasizing of that. But it's
Mhm.
funny how you end up doing what you
You
said
end
you
up
want
doing
to
the
be,
very same
right?
thing.
Right. And God has
Exactly.
a plan for all of us. So having those plans there, but there's so what type of books should people just get started with their being an author career to write first?
The best advice I ever got on writing actually came from my mom, and she was just like, just write what you know, right? It's
Mhm.
very simple, it's very straightforward.
Yeah.
And I think it is a great place for people to start. What do you know how to do that can help somebody else? It could be something within your career, within your business, or it could be something completely unrelated. It could be a hobby, knowing how to do nails or something like that. So,
Yeah.
what do you know that somebody else wants to know? How can you share that with them? And I think it's a great place to start because it reduces the fear of, I'm not an expert, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or whatever. Sometimes people are like, I've been able to lose 50 pounds, right?
Mhm.
But then they could say, oh, there's 100,000 different diet books on the planet. Yeah, you know what? When you write the 100,000th and one, it's gonna sell because still people are still wanting to know how can they do this, and maybe they tried all these other ways and all those other ways haven't worked. But when you put your book out, it's gonna work for somebody, and they've just been waiting for you to share what you know. So share
Mhm.
what you know with regards, like I said, to your career, to your hobbies, to your business, whatever have you. Start there and then let your audience begin to tell you what else they want to hear from you. And you always want to keep your audience in mind and understand what is it that people want to know about at the intersection of what it is that you do know so that you're writing something you're pretty confident that you know the subject matter and you don't have to do heavy lifting research if you don't have to. But just starting with what you know is a great place to start. Even if you're a fiction writer, even if you are writing short stories or writing novels, because I'm actually a fiction writer as well, you can take a scenario that you're familiar with. It doesn't have to be your specific story, but there's people in your family, there you've gone to school with people. There could be different stories in your life that you know about that you can fictionalize, right? You can change the setting, change the characters, and things like that, the arc of the story. So write that story.
And that's good. And that's actually the next question I want to ask you about what advice would you give someone who wants to step out of fear and into bold action?
There's nothing, Nike said it best back in the 80s, just do it.
Mhm.
There's
Just
nothing to do, there's no other way around fear except for taking action. I found that fear doesn't go away. In fact, sometimes when you're taking steps towards what you're doing, fear likes to get a little louder, but you still have
mhm.
to keep moving forward. And so
Yeah.
if you have to then rely on and your community, you don't have to do anything alone. But certainly not writing. Definitely writing has to be a collaborative, especially if you're writing a book for the first time. You've never done this before. You
Yeah.
want to lean on the expertise of others who have done it before. So whether you sit down and research, you scour the internet, you scour YouTube or whatever, what have you, there's so much advice out there. Follow someone's advice, right? If you want to shorten up that time frame, then hire people to help you do certain things or get with a self-publishing company that will help you through the process. You do not have to do the writing alone, but you do have to take the first step and then take the next step and the next step after that until
Yeah.
it's done.
That is so true because that's how I started in the collaboration book. I didn't know how to do that. And then I got into another collaboration book. So that third time I said, nope, I'm doing this on my own. I'm going
There
to
you
write
go.
my own book. And I
There
did.
you go.
I wrote my own. And now I'm going to write my fourth book, Forgiveness, Walking in Freedom Through God's Grace. I had to keep remembering the title of my book that's coming out.
It's okay.
That is but no, that is so true. So how can collaboration help authors throughout their authorship journey?
Like I said, you can get just coaching all along the way. So whether you're reading books about the writing process or about the self-publishing process, whether you're watching videos, whether you are taking a course, whether
Mhm.
you're hiring an individual or you're working with a company, a self-publishing company that assigns you someone to walk you through the process. We come into this world, we all come in this world the same way, naked and dribbling with no teeth.
Yeah.
So everything we've learned language, we've learned how to communicate, we've learned how to do everything, right? We learned how to walk, we learned how to eat, we learned how to cook, we learned how to get dressed, we learned how to write, we learned how to communicate. And so it's going to take a learning process and through everything that we've learned from other people. So
Mhm.
collaborate with other people, look for those mentors, look for those people who are going to help you, or look for that company that's going to help you, and pick someone, pick a group and rock with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we're winding down, but I wanted to ask you, give us 2 to 3 tips you can give our listeners to building confidence and using their voice.
Building confidence and using your voice. I think a good way to just build your confidence is, especially just to and putting yourself out there. If you're not someone who creates content on a regular basis,
Mhm.
start by creating content. So sometimes people still feel squeamish in 2025 about getting on camera and
Mhm.
doing
Yeah.
videos. Okay, don't start with that, right?
Mhm.
Start with maybe your voice, start with an audio podcast. I literally just launched an audio only podcast, not because I'm afraid of video, but just because I got so much other going on. But I'm like, this is the fastest way I can get something out because I want to put this content out. But if I have to sit down and put on makeup every single time and come on camera,
Mhm.
it's going to slow me down. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
let's do audio. Some people are like, I don't even want to talk. Okay, then write, right? So write little articles on LinkedIn or on Medium or on your blog or whatever, what have you. But start
Mhm.
somewhere. Start something that's small, something that you can do consistently that you and you make a promise to yourself that you're going to show up every single day, every single week, whatever the cadence is. But it's really about just getting started, putting your voice and your ideas out there and like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be your literal voice, but just even just writing and writing articles. It's so important to get in the habit of just putting yourself out there and
Mhm.
letting people respond or not respond. I put up a video. Oh, it was my 300,000 Black women. I put up a video last week just reacting, responding to that, and just giving suggestions because one of the things I can't stand, I hate when people are just like doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom. And it's okay, so what do we do? So I had some ideas of what I think Black women can do next.
Mhm.
And in like my suggestions were like get into your prayer, get into your peace, tap into your community, and begin to just prepare yourself and position yourself and repackage, what you have to offer. Someone came in my comments and said, get a husband.
Yeah, wow.
I'm like, first of all, can we get with the program? That had nothing to do with this conversation
Right.
whatsoever. And it was just a troll, right? It was just a hater. And I was just like,
Mm.
now this says so much more about you than about me. I went and I looked and I'm like, they don't even have a real picture up. They have 2 subscribers on their channel. I was just like, please. And
Just talking, just talking. I tell you what.
exactly. And so I just deleted the comment and kept it pushing on with my day. But that's the
Mhm.
thing. Some people are just going to be mean and nasty just because they want to be mean and nasty.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
just got to get used to it and just
yeah. And you
ignore
gotta
it, keep it
ignore it.
going. But then
Exactly.
I get great comments are like, wow, this was really helpful. This is exactly what I needed right now. Da, 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 da. So you're
Mhm.
going to just understand you're going to get both. You can't stop people from doing what they're going to do, but you
Yeah.
get to choose how you're going to react to it. To
Mhm.
bringing it back to your original question, what can you do to just get started? Just get started, put yourself out there, and just know someone's going to be stupid at some point in time, and you get to choose
Mhm.
how you're going to respond to that. And but the
Right,
more
right.
that you get used to just okay, this
Yeah.
person is gonna get blocked, or do I really need to respond to that? The more you get practice with that, the more comfortable you get with putting yourself out there. And so then you could work your way up to that audio podcast or that video, putting out videos or putting out that book and waiting
Mm.
for the Amazon reviews.
Yeah. I know that's right. Yeah, and that is so true. So what role has faith, purpose, community played in your success?
Everything. It's
Mhm.
everything. Um, while there's definitely fear, but not only action combats fear, but faith combats fear, right? And faith is
Mhm.
that thing and that power that makes me at least say, okay, I can take action, right? Even
Mhm.
though I may be afraid or nervous about this or that, I can still take action because I believe there's a higher purpose that
Yeah.
if I move through this fear, right? Because sometimes the only way through is through.
Yeah.
When I move through this fear on the other side,
Mhm.
there's someone that I'm helping. There's myself that I'm helping. There's my family that I'm helping. There's a greater purpose in me moving through and beyond whatever fear I
Mhm.
may have. And if I need to get support, get help, reach out, let me get support, let me reach out, let me get what I need so that we can accomplish the goal.
Move on. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I say faith overcomes fear, is what I say here. So how can listeners connect with you and support your work? And then also tell us about your book.
So you can definitely find me at writingwithdeniserenee.com. Learn about how I do support authors in their journey. You can also grab a copy of my book through there as well. I am online. The two places I'm at most of the time is YouTube. So youtube.com/ at writing with Denise Renee. And on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/, writing with Denise Renee. And I just started a Substack. I just started a new podcast and newsletter through Substack. So you can find me at writingwithdeniserenee.substack.com. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so about the book, like I said, my book is entitled Write Your Book 10 Mindset Hacks to Move You from Fear to Finished. And it is all about if you are that person who, like me, who's just chomping down at your nails. Oh my gosh, can I really do this? Or telling yourself all these things that are just keeping you back from writing a book, like I said. And I wrote this book based on what people were telling me all the time. These are the top 10 reasons and fears that people were always telling me. I want to write a book, but I'm too old, I'm too young. Somebody else already wrote my book. I'm not an expert, and a couple of other things in there. So you can definitely head over to writingwithdeniserenee.com. And the link for the book is right there, so you can learn a little bit more about it. But basically, in the book, I share with you how we break down each of those fears, and I give practical mindset hacks and practical steps, action steps that you can take to overcome those particular fears so that you can get started writing your book because it's needed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm going to actually have all of your contact information in the show notes as well. But wow, what an empowering conversation. That was
Yeah,
very good here. Denise, thank you so
yeah.
much for sharing your story and wisdom with us today.
Not
I
a
know our
problem. Thank you so
list.
much for
Oh,
having me.
absolutely. I had to come after we realized that wait a minute, I had her on my show before. But she's giving the
Here we are
update of what
again.
she's doing. Now she has a book to talk about. So I know our listeners are walking away inspired to help step into their own boldness and embrace collaboration on their journey. For those of you tuning in, make sure to connect with Denise Renee and always remember collaboration is the key to success. I'm Wanda Pearson, and this has been Ready, Set, Collaborate podcast. And make sure you follow and subscribe. It's going to be on YouTube as well with Ready, Set, Collaborate with Wanda Pearson. Thank you. And thanks, Denise, again for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of Ready, Set, Collaborate with Wanda Pearson. I hope you found inspiration and valuable insights to help you build meaningful connections and successful collaborations. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, share, and stay tuned for more great discussions. Until next time, keep collaborating and making an impact.